this is like fun with other, running friends. So I'm like, I'm going to do it because I knew it would put me in a good mood.
You are my BRF.
What's happening, Eric?
There for your victory lap.
Yeah.
Whoa!
How did that happen?
How did you do that?
And all of a sudden I go to zip it up and I'm like, why is the zipper in the front right now? 0 out of 10 on the recommendation scale.
I am literally crying from laughter and from so much like love. Oh my God.
It's like icing off for your cornhole.
And he just smashed Arnie like that and said, you stay out of this, Arnie. And like,
I don't run to stay sober. I get to run because I am.
And there she was, a halo over her head.
No, it's not very true. Okay. And he steps to the side and just gestures. Here's the tinkle pot. I don't need to tinkle.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Our next guest on the pod is the leader of the Badass Lady Gang, who is all about body positivity, laughing hysterically, and inspiring others to get active. She loves to take selfies with incredibly attractive men in the background. She flies to Tokyo just to see a Taylor Swift concert. She counts all the dogs and has experienced one of the wildest triathlons ever. Not to forget, she creates some of the best signs you'll ever see on a marathon course. Along with that and so much more, we are wicked excited to welcome Kelly Roberts to the On the Runs podcast. What's up, Kelly?
Did you write that?
Yes, and I didn't proofread it, and I messed up halfway, but whatever.
No, I mean, listen, most of the time when people do my bio, it makes me want to crawl out of my skin, but that was fun.
Yes.
You
yes.
did it. 10 years of this, and you did one where I wasn't like, oh. It's just giggles.
It's one of my goals. It's one of my things. It's the bios. It's the intros. I love to do it. I mess up a lot of the time.
No, that was great.
As long as I don't mess up your name. I only did that to one person, and that was
my
cool.
name is fairly difficult to mess up.
How are you, though?
I'm crazy. I need to
Yes.
be medicated today.
We love crazy.
Oh man, I'm in the same boat. I just got back from visiting my parents over the holiday, and we got in at like 2:00 in the morning. I wish I drank coffee because I need to be energetic for you because you just bring so much energy to this podcast, and I'm so excited to have you, Kelly. Yay,
I'm
welcome.
high octane, that is for sure.
I need that. You are my coffee this morning.
Kelly, we've actually met before. You've met Erica more than once. You've met her a handful of times, actually. But we just met earlier in the year at the Boston Run Show.
Yeah.
You were actually working. You were like operating the stage. And I talked about it on the podcast a long time ago around the show. It was like, you were really good. You were like active. You were getting everyone involved. And then I went back because we just dropped a bunch of best of 2024 episodes. And there was an episode where I was saying, you know what? I was actually really nervous to go up and talk to you, but I was like, I have to go. I don't know. It was so weird. But I heard that. I'm like, I want to mention it. We're talking to you today. I'm not nervous right now. I showered. I brushed my teeth. I'm feeling good.
I'm a little bit.
You can smell me.
just because I've been seeing you on Instagram for so long, Kelly. Like I'm repping a Badass Lady
Oh my
Gang
God,
shirt.
original.
See, back
That's so old.
I had to look it up, and I was like, I bought this in 2019.
Yeah,
I've
that's
been following you for a long
pre-COVID.
time, right?
That's like the first one that we ever did with like a beautiful design on the back.
Yeah,
like
the back is
that's one of
kick-ass.
my favorite shirts.
It's so soft too. I love this shirt. So
I do too.
I've been rocking the Badass Lady Gang for quite a while now. So
Aw,
we're so
Erica.
excited to have you.
That is so cool. I love that shirt.
Me too.
Erica,
to break
maybe
it out
you
today.
should have done the intro. How did you find Kelly then so long ago and get the OG shirt?
You know, I have no idea, but it's got to be through the running pod. Like you had your own podcast, but like it's through the running world. The running community is just so amazing, and you find people that match your spirit and your vibe, and you just keep hanging on. You just keep following. So that's
so cool.
I'd like to say I'm an OG, but probably not from the very, very beginning. But yeah,
I mean, I wish 2019 was the beginning. 2014 is when it all began. But Badass Lady Gang really started in like 16. Oh, so I guess that's 3 years.
Yeah, I'm not very
Enjoyed
active
this
on
too long.
Instagram, so but you were one of the ones that I like to follow along with because your content is just so fun and relatable and just entertaining. So you do a
TikTok's
wonderful
been
job.
throwing me a lot of ads that's like, here's how to make high quality content. And I'm like, what are you saying to me?
Thanks. How rude.
After I got the 10th one, I was like, what's going on?
They're trying to say something and it doesn't sound very nice.
I'm offended.
You should be. Thanks, TikTok.
So now I'm
Way
like,
to
not
go.
interested, not interested, not interested. I'm like, I need to talk to my therapist about why I'm so triggered right now.
They're just throwing rude shit at you. That's what it is.
Mean.
How
like ads.
rude.
They're throwing ads at me like that. I don't know what that means.
Now, Kelly, you
good.
Go ahead.
now Kelly, you probably don't remember, but Erica, you two have met a few times now.
So besides the Boston Run show, I actually met you back in 2022 in Chicago.
2022.
You were doing a shakeout run, and I had just finished. I usually do the Chicago 5K whenever I head out that way.
Oh, that's fun.
And I was just like, oh my God, it's Kelly. Like I could see you
Where
guys
were
getting
we?
ready. You were by the Bean, by Cloud Gate, and you guys were just getting ready, and you had like a whole circle full of girls, and you were like pumping up, and I kind of like was lurking, and I was like, hi Kelly, and I got.
Did you do intros?
No, I couldn't stick around for very long because we had brunch reservations with my boyfriend and his family. So I got to talk to you for a couple minutes, got a selfie, and then and had to be on my way. But I was like, I need to join one of these runs. Like I would have done a second run if I could.
They're very fun.
Oh yeah,
I mean, there's not much running that happens,
which is perfect. I mean,
it's mostly talking.
I mean, that's the most fun though. You go to Chicago, you're ready to run the marathon, and you have to do a shakeout. So that's the kind of shakeout I would rather do is just socializing runs. And not really moving my legs.
It stresses me out. I'd rather everyone just stand and talk to each other and make a couple friends, people you can like go to the start village with.
Yeah.
There's so many horror stories of people getting like hit by bicyclists or like cars because everyone acts like animals and like runs in the streets and like pretends like, oh, we're in a big group, nothing bad can happen to me. And then you're like, oh, cool. So not only do I have a broken leg now, but like I can't run the race. And I'm like, the whole idea of a shakeout run with thousands of people is just bonkers to me.
Seriously.
It's been blowing up too.
The way you've been doing it is perfect.
So stressful. I hate them.
Well, keep doing what you're doing because that is the way. And
stand in a circle and talk. That is the way. Make a couple buddies.
The best way. So, Kelly, since I am not one of the original Badass Lady Gang members,
that's okay.
Let's get into how you started your running journey.
Yeah, I started like most people. I think I had a manic meltdown, and I mean, before I started running, I really did think people who ran forever, like they ran and they were sporty people or were born to run. You know, like. I really did think that, which now that I'm in the position I'm in, I've learned most people think that until they are either like just desperate enough to start running or have something that makes them want to do it, you know, whether it's like a breakup, a death, someone cons you into it, you know, like all of
peer
these
pressure.
Yeah, all these things that we most of us start running with.
Yeah.
I was in a really bad spot. Truthfully, I mean, trigger warning. I had an eating disorder, a really, really bad eating disorder, and had lost a lot of weight. And people really, really celebrated me for it. And I had just graduated from college, so I had lost this free gym that I had. I truly would go to the gym for like 90 minutes to, sometimes 2 hours, like AM and PM, which was bad, really bad. But to everyone else, it was like, wow, she cares so much about her health, and no one was like, oh, red flag. That's a lot. That's a lot. Nope. Just go you go girl. You're an inspiration. And I lost that. And like any extrinsically motivated goal, weight loss, doing that got harder and harder. And I got really scared about gaining weight. And it was Thanksgiving the day I started running. So the gym was closed and I was really struggling with grief. I had lost my brother when I was in college, really unexpectedly. He died from alcohol poisoning. He was 16.
Oh my gosh.
So really tragic, hard loss. And I used both exercise and my theater program to hide from dealing with it. And I was in therapy, but I wasn't really doing the work. I wasn't ready to do the work yet. So all of these coping mechanisms disappeared when I graduated. So I found a new one. I started running. The gym was closed and I truly was, I hadn't slept in like 2 days. Like I'm not joking when I say like I was having a manic episode, like I really was. And went for a run, like I kind of was like, I can't lay in bed. Like I'm afraid of what will happen if I stay in bed.
Gotcha.
So I was like, I'd always tried running. I had this idea that running would make me skinny. And I thought, I work out more than anyone I know. There's no way I can't run now. Every time I'd tried to run before, I'd get 2 minutes in and just feel like I'm going to die. I didn't have which I now know is aerobic capacity, how that works. And so I always just felt like I felt like a failure. I felt like it was embarrassing. I was embarrassed that I couldn't do it for like more than 3 minutes or 2 minutes before needing to like really walk. And like, that was such a bad feeling to me. I think PE and other things that I'd tried in high school and being a people pleaser and an overachiever, like I didn't like doing things I wasn't very good at.
Yeah.
So a lot of like value systems were wrapped up in that. So running was something that just did not feel like I should be doing. But that day, like I honestly was so desperate that I just kept going. Like,
just needed something for an outlet, right?
Yeah. And it was frustrating because I did get down the block and like had to walk, and I was like, that's ridiculous. This is ridiculous. This makes no sense. This makes no sense. I go to the gym for hours, hours and hours and hours a day. Why can't I run? But I was desperate I couldn't go home. I was too scared to go home. So I walked, and then I ran, and I walked, and I ran, and I sat on a bench for like 30 minutes and cried and like, just like had a main character breakdown moment out in the wild of San Diego at like 5 in the morning.
Sometimes you need that though.
Yeah.
That is cathartic. It's
Truly.
just, helpful.
But I was really sore, and I was in a place where that felt nice. I liked to hurt in a way. I had packaged it up as like, it was a hurt that meant I was getting stronger, which now not so much, not great, but I liked it. I liked that hurt, and I liked that I like felt motivated. So I decided like, oh, I'll run a half marathon in June. So it was Thanksgiving. I ended up running a half marathon in January. Then, ran the half marathon I had originally intended to do. I ran the marathon, and that changed my life. I was like, if I can run a marathon, I truly can do anything. I need to just move to New York and figure it out. And so my life kind of started thanks to that marathon.
Wow. Which marathon was it that you started with?
Rock and Roll San Diego.
Ah, very nice.
Yep.
Very nice.
Hilly.
Is that originally where you're from? The West Coast?
I'm from Carlsbad.
I've actually been there.
Yeah, I'm sure you have. It's like a very like surfy, like we have Legoland.
I have some extended family who lived out there. They were by the Omni Hotel, like that really nice hotel. I don't know, random. But
is it like Red Roof? It's been through a couple iterations in Aviera. I think I know what you're talking. Oh no, I know what you're talking about. La Costa.
Very expensive. All I
know. I live literally right next to that.
Very cool. Oh, they were your neighbor.
Yeah, I think they're on their like third ownership.
Oh, wow.
Big golf course.
So that was your big jump to New York City, which is where you're still stationed. So what year was this that you ran this? Was it
2013? I ran my first marathon. First half and first full.
You've been in New York City for a long time now, and that is your concrete jungle, the playground.
Yeah, it's been a while.
What was the inspiration though to go to New York City to make such a big change, West Coast to East Coast?
So I got my undergrad in theater and always wanted to be here. Did not see myself in LA. I just think the way people talk about art is very different here. In LA, it's like you want to be famous, whereas here people are like, "Who's your favorite playwright?" and like, "What kind of like." It's just different.
Broadway.
The culture is very different. Yeah, Broadway.
Mm-hmm.
And my sister had moved here right after college. She and I graduated together, even though she's 2 years older than me. She was an athlete. So she like took a year to go to some crazy sport academy in Florida, and then kind of waited until she got on the right golf team. So she ended up taking 5 years to graduate, which rained on my parade and took all my shine. And we graduated together. So she immediately went to New York, and I stayed in San Diego for another year.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have family here, and they were kind of like, "What are you doing, dude? Get over here. You'll figure it out."
To be, let's do it.
Yeah, and like huge Nepo baby, like they had a huge giant company, and we're like, "Come be the receptionist. You'll figure it out."
It's good. That's a start. Whatever it takes.
Nepo baby. That's me.
No shame in the Nepo baby.
I'm not here. I was a receptionist.
Everybody has to start somewhere. So I'm glad that You were at least that's a nice way to ease your way into a that it seems like a big change going from San Diego to New York City. Like
It
the
was
city that
very
never sleeps.
scary.
Mhm.
New York is very scary. It is the loneliest city in the whole entire world,
For so
which I
many people
love.
too,
Really?
right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This is the city where people do not look at you. They look through you.
I could
And
see
especially
that.
now, everybody's just on their phones. Beep, beep, beep,
It's
beep,
always
and
been like that. Yeah. People, it's hard to make friends here. I mean, it's hard to make friends anywhere.
We've
look
had
at you
people on
now.
before, though, and just like maybe family friends who say that the West Coast, you can't go grocery shopping to get a few things without being stopped by so many people, even strangers. You'd be like, hi, and then spark up a conversation. Here in the
What?
East Coast, they're like, no one even looks at you. So I
That's
get
my
that. I've
nightmare.
heard that before because my neighbor's from Colorado. That's not exactly California, but that was her comparison coming to the East Coast.
Yeah. When I go home, when I go back to my parents' house and run, everyone waves at each other. And so I'm always like, do we know each other? Or like, what? Or I just straight up don't do anything, and then my friend will be like, you like people are waving, and I'm like, so I don't owe you anything.
That's
So
how
you've
it
kind
is
of
in my
adapted the
parents'
East Coast style
area.
then.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I hate talking to people. Don't talk to me. Don't look at me.
Well, it's a good thing this isn't a podcast where we talk. We just stare at each
No,
other.
that's different. I mean, like if I'm on the subway, if I'm on the train and someone tries to talk to me, I'm like, absolutely not, ma'am or sir or them. Like,
Well,
keep to yourself.
we learned the hard way. There's a quiet car and a loud car on the train.
And on the not on the subway, they are
Well, not
all
on
the
the
loud
subway,
car.
but on the
It's
train.
like an Amtrak.
Oh yes,
Yeah, Kelly.
I'm
you'd
always
be-
in the quiet car.
Yeah, not me.
I don't want to
She-
take
yeah,
calls. Leave
Kelly
me
would have been the one
alone.
being like, "Shut the fuck up, dude."
This is perfect. Well, yeah, we met in at the Boston Run show.
I shook the Amtrak there.
Yes. And we mentioned because my sister lives in New York City and she's
Yeah.
a new runner. She
Aw.
actually haven't officially said this on the podcast yet, but she is now
Breaking
running in the
news.
New York City Marathon.
Oh my
Next-
God, did she do 9+1?
She did 9+1, so she'll be in the
MLM. Get it, girl.
2025 marathon. And you were telling me all about the Badass Lady Gang. So if you moved there around 2013 and you started, from what I've learned, the Badass Lady Gang in 2014, how did that start and develop and evolve?
Yeah, it didn't. The Badass Lady Gang didn't really come about until the 2016. We started our online Facebook group, but I moved here, and the first year was I moved here September 2013. So I was running alone, running in winter for the first time, in weather for the first time. Like when I was in San Diego, like it would be 60 degrees and raining and I would be in a parka. Like I was like, oh no, the weather. What do I do? What do I do? And then I moved here and was like, oh shit. Like
Totally
oh,
different spectrum.
no. Yeah, my first winter, like I went to Planet Fitness and ran on a treadmill. I also had never I felt nervous running at night in San Diego because I started running in winter. So the sun did go when I got home from work, it was dark.
Mhm.
So I definitely did feel nervous, but a different kind of nervous than New York City. I vividly remember the day I was living with my sister when I first moved there. We shared a 5x8 room. We had an inflatable mattress that we blew up with a hairdryer, and we would do every 2 nights. Someone would sleep in the bed and someone would sleep on the air mattress. Like we were roughing it. And I was living close to Central Park because my sister lived in Hell's Kitchen. And I remember the day after the New York City Marathon, I went for my run in Central Park, and I didn't feel scared at that point because there were just hundreds of runners around. So I'm like, okay, like I'm not alone. There's people around. The day after the marathon, no one, not a single person
wow.
was out, which makes sense. Everyone runs the marathon and it's like taking a break.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, where'd everybody go? This is a little spooky.
Shit.
Like, okay, maybe I need to join a team or like find people. So I started Googling like, how do I join a running group? And I found a running crew, and I showed up and they were like, okay, we're doing speed work. Like, what's your 5K? And I'm like, like, I've never done a 5K. Like, I'd ran a marathon, but like I'd never done speed work. I'd never really raced anything.
Mhm.
So they were like, they were not very welcoming. They were not very kind.
Yeah.
And someone begrudgingly put with me. And I now know I was very fast. Like I was a speedy girl, and not like crazy speedy, but like I wasn't slow. I called myself slow, which like makes my skin crawl now. But like knowing the way they made me feel at that point, and I got dropped. Like the girl left me in Central Park, and I didn't know Central Park. I had
God.
just moved there a couple months earlier and like ended up having to like find the subway. And anyone who's been in Central Park and doesn't know it, like when you're in the middle of Central Park, like you feel like
You're,
where
like,
am
in the
I?
middle of
How
the,
am I
like,
ever gonna get
forest.
out?
Mhm.
Totally. And I was like,
Mhm.
I don't, it's dark. And I was like, this is a nightmare. I'm never doing this again. So I didn't join a group for months. I finally, like the next March, a couple months later, like went viral, and people started kind of hounding me to come to stuff, being like, oh my gosh, you should come to our thing. You should come to our thing. And so a couple people really kind of like peer pressured me into coming to stuff. And one of those was November Project.
Mm.
So I kind of did find my people there. I went for probably 2 months and didn't talk to anyone. I liked it. I liked the weirdness of it. It would take me an hour to get there in the morning, but I still was like, I kind of like this. And then like right when I started meeting people that year, I had decided to like leave my job and do this full time.
Mhm.
And I was like, fuck winter. The last one was horrible. Like I'm going to LA for winter. I work for myself. I can do whatever I want. So I
Mhm.
did. And November Project was in LA as well. And like met people and really loved that aspect of it. So that kind of changed everything for me and really like changed the trajectory of everything. So I was like very active in November Project for 1 or 2 years. And then next year, like that's kind of where I decided to try to qualify for Boston. And that's kind of where like BQ or Bust and like
Mm.
Badass Lady Gang began. Because I started running with these like ragtag women, like as old as late 60s, as young as 20s, all shapes and sizes, could run circles around me. But I was like, I liked calling us badass because I don't think anyone would look at us and call us badass. And I liked Lady Gang because like lady is like the furthest thing from me. And gang because there's nothing less, dangerous or off-putting than a group of women running together, Like I thought it was the three words together were funny. So that's kind of how it started.
I love that. I'm just so happy that you were able to find a group of people that you were comfortable with, because I know
Yeah.
how discouraging it can be when you're first starting out. You want to find a group and just there's nobody to connect with, like either
Yeah.
varying speeds or just like, I mean, if you're shy, oh my God, it's going to take a while to get used to people. And if nobody's like willing to kind of reach out to you and drag you in, like, what are you going to
Yeah.
do? Just keep being shy. So I'm glad that you created something that was just so inclusive and welcoming and just like, come on in, everybody's welcome. It's just
Yeah.
so nice.
Community building is like intrinsically what I'm hardwired to do. It's what I
Good.
did when I was like in theater. I really loved the community aspect of it and did a couple programs with more like community theater type stuff
Mhm.
where they would like go out into a group of people and create a show with them, which I loved. So I took, and like theater is such like an ensemble based kind of a thing where everyone's creating something together.
Mhm.
So that was always something that I yearned for when I moved here, is to like find my people. And once like my friendship groups kind of got wrapped up in training, and I was kind of in a place where I was like, I can't keep running marathons just to keep up with my friends. Like we don't hang
Right.
out outside of this. Like how do I figure out how to make a friend group that isn't, if I can't run 9-minute miles, I can't run with them anymore.
Mm.
Like so that was a big piece of it. Is I'm also very shy. I know it doesn't seem like it. I can perform and I can
You can
be in
be an
charge.
introverted extrovert or
Yeah, but
vice
like
versa.
I'm pretty shy. And so when we were creating Badass Lady Gang, I was like, the thing I hate is like I'm really bad with names. I'm really, really bad with names. So like name tags are required. One, they kind of
Yes.
like dumb everybody down and make everybody kind of silly. So like you can't be cool when you're wearing a plastic or like a silly
Hi,
name
my name
tag.
is.
Yeah. And then we do intros. We spend 20 to 30 minutes introducing everybody so that you say something that's not what are you training for.
Mhm.
So you kind of immediately have silly things to talk to people about. And our meetups are really centered around talking to people and not just the two people that you run the same pace as.
Mhm. I love that. It's so nice. It's a nice change.
It's
You don't
different.
see that everywhere else.
Yeah,
Like
it's different on purpose.
I've done just regular run clubs. Like we did find one around us that's just it's centered around beer. So I mean that's
Love.
if you're not drinking, that's totally fine. Nobody's gonna judge you for that. But everybody's just a little like looser. But when I was training for some stuff, winter running, I had to join a winter club
Yeah.
just because I am a fair weather runner. I will not go outside unless I'm peer pressured into it.
Yeah.
So, just through my local Fleet Feet, they have a winter warrior program, and it was just one of those things where I found myself running alone in the dark because people were faster, and it was hard to make friends. So I really do commend you for what you started, because
Thanks.
it does help a lot, and it's going to break people out of their shells and bring people together, and it's just wonderful.
It's hard. People are traumatized, people are they go to a couple and are like, absolutely not. And that sucks because we are the group for most people who are like that. And like by the time they kind of are ready to come to us, they're so they're just disenchanted and distrusting, which rightly so. So it's hard.
It is.
What was the growth like? Like, you started it in 2014, somewhere between there and 2016. Sometimes like those groups take long to grow and then expand and create awareness, and then eventually one day it just spreads.
It really blew up right away. We really did start online. So we were online for a couple years before the in-person stuff happened. So we were doing, really I was also very lucky that I had a core group of badass lady gangers who were very, very active in the online group. Like, you can't have something like that. I think the thing that a lot of people don't understand with community is it really doesn't matter how outgoing or good at marketing the leaders are. If they're not cultivating a place where everyone kind of shows up for the community, your community will not survive. Like, everybody kind of needs to be an active participant, or there needs to be a core group of people who are loud and really inviting. They like, when we talk about community, it truly is everyone. So people love to bitch and moan about communities, and it's like, okay, well, how are you showing up for your community? What are you doing? Like, you can't just go to shit. You have to be an active participant. That's how a community works. You look at church, and I think church is the best example of why community works. They have everybody fucking volunteering. Everybody has to serve. Everyone has to show up and do the after whatever. I mean, it's been so long since I've been to church. I don't go to church. I'm not religious.
I
But
can't fact check you.
I grew up doing it, like people do the flowers and people do the cookies and whatever, and people host groups, and like some people are in charge of outreach and like making sure that if someone shows up that everyone doesn't know, they're the ones that go up to them and they're like, hey, it's so good to see you. I'm blankety blank. Where are you from? What's your story? Making people feel welcomed. So if everyone's not doing that, you can't call your group clicky, because what are you doing, bro? Like, it's everybody's responsibility to keep the thing alive. It makes me want to scream and shake people when I hear people like bitch about the community there, and I'm like, what are you doing?
You have an absolute point.
You're an active participant in your community. Be the change, my friend. Be the change.
Well said. Seriously.
Stop bitching. Either start something else or be better.
I love it. Your group also meets up, like, was it Tuesday nights? Like, you do like community runs or something?
New York City, we meet up Tuesdays.
That's for you, Hannah. Go
yeah,
check 'em out.
Tuesdays at 6:30. I'm not co-leading anymore. I stepped down this year. So I haven't been going as much, which is like devastating to me. But they are doing Central Park one or 2 days, 2 days a month, and then the rest they're downtown.
That's
So
cool.
you've really expanded. If you're not like the leader of every event, like you have other people taking over or taking leadership roles.
Yeah,
for
we
the
have a
Badass
bunch of
Lady Gang.
chapters. So
It's a
they are in
movement
different
now.
cities.
That's so cool. How far is that spread?
Canada and the US. When we first started, we did have we had the UK and we had one in Australia. Like, we had a lot, and COVID kind of, we shut everybody down. We were very, very strict during COVID. Like, having been in New York and experienced what I experienced, like, I think I was a little more scared than most people. I think a lot of our chapters were frustrated when I was like, absolutely not. We have to take this seriously.
Yeah.
It is also hard because Badass Lady Gang is liable. Like, communities are incredibly expensive to run. And if anything happens to anyone, you get hit by a car, like exactly kind of what we were talking about. Like, anything happens, like, you are liable, even if people are signing waivers. Like, it's such a thin waiver of protection. So,
And you care for all these people too. You don't want anything bad to happen to them,
No, and I
especially
care for my
COVID was
leaders.
just such uncertain times, and Ugh,
Yeah.
I don't blame you.
And all the women, like we're a women or people who identify as, kind of a group, and to not take into account that like the brunt that women were facing. A lot of our women are moms. Like they were fucking homeschooling everybody. Like it was horrible. So I like no one ever wants to step down when it's time, and I have to keep a pulse on burnout and kind of like be like, hey, I know you love everyone and you feel like indebted to this community, but like you got to put yourself first.
Absolutely.
And that's hard.
But that's awesome for you to recognize that, because sometimes that's the hardest part
I
too.
don't do as good as I should, but thank you.
Well, keep it up then, Kelly. We believe in you.
It's hard. Communities are hard.
Oh, I believe
Turns
it.
out. Who knew?
Well, I think it's so cool that you've built. I had no clue it expanded all the way to like Australia and around the world. Like, shame on me, didn't do enough
Oh, you're
homework,
good.
Erica. But that's so cool. I kind of thought it was just a New York City central based thing,
No.
and you've really built and expanded this community. So awesome! Kudos to you. That's so cool. I consume a lot of podcasts, not just running, but when I do my research on somebody, for previous guests we've had, I'll look up a podcast they've been on, and a lot of them,
Ask me the same
let's
questions.
say influencers like an Aaron Azar or a Laura Green, they mention you, and they mention like how important you've been to them for helping them build their community and their brand and giving them advice. So you've been doing this for a while, and you're really smart about it, and you know what you're doing, and you know how to build a community. That's fantastic. This whole time I'm listening, I'm like taking notes. Yes, this is great. I love it. Great comparison with the church, by the way.
Do you go to church?
No, I should more.
I'm not a
no,
church
I haven't.
There
I
are
can't
no
tell you last
shoulds.
time.
It's
Can't
time.
tell you. I was an altar server,
So was I.
and I fainted during my hairdresser's, no longer my hairdresser, as you can tell, during her baby's baptism.
Oh my
That's intense.
God.
Yeah. And so I actually just took the twins
Trauma.
to get haircuts at her haircut place. And she goes, "Oh my God, I knew your dad when he was a kid, and he was the altar server, and he fainted." And it was her dad, my hairdresser's dad, who ran and caught me. It was like the hottest day in August in
Oh
like
no. I'm a fainter.
1997.
I can relate. That's horrible.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
scary.
And that's why you don't go to church anymore. It was a sign
Yeah,
from God.
yeah. You know, I did my CCD. I couldn't tell you the last time. I probably really should go, like holidays or something. Just life's crazy, Kelly. Life's crazy and busy, but
I'm the opposite. Church made me not want to go to church anymore. Once I learned a lot more, I was like, oh, so I don't want to be a part of this at all.
I wouldn't even know where to start if I was to start again, though.
I
was
never
like,
got
oh
into
no.
You mentioned the word badass, the phrase,
Yeah.
and it's not used often. I have to say it's probably one of my top 5 most used phrases.
Really?
Yeah. I love to call everyone an absolute badass.
I mean, so do I.
Yeah.
Well, it feels good.
It does.
And it is one of those words that, like, for a lot of people, I think I don't know if it's. I mean, I don't think it's an American thing, but looking at high school sports and middle school sports, like a lot of kids do get phased out because if you're not going to go to college, or like it's very, very, if you're not the best and you're not going to play, like there's such a. I don't want to say trauma. That sounds so like egregious, but like you do meet a lot of people who got pushed out of sport. Like it's supposed to be fun, and parents get involved, and rec leagues become incredibly expensive and like just really competitive. And it does become a bit of a job for a lot of kids, like they get on this pipeline that burns them out and sucks the joy out of sport. And it's supposed to be fun. I do think there's a time and a place for being competitive and developing those kids, but like in my experience in the schools I went to, like it was always college. Like if you weren't on the funnel to go to college to play sports in D1 or D2, like what were you like, why are you doing this? And it's like, because it's fucking fun and it's a good way to meet people and stay active. What?
Thank God
It's a
for
game.
girls and stuff.
It's
Just
a
having fun.
game.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Parents,
People-
it's parents. They take it
Yeah.
way too serious. Like I
They
know
ruin
parents
it.
who drive their kids an hour and a half to go to hockey practice because like the program on the Seacoast is better than the program in their hometown. I'm like,
Totally.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. What's that going to do? What's
Yeah.
that going to do for your kid? But Kelly, one thing we're huge about here on the podcast, though, and I want to keep this about you and not about other parents and sending their kids
Let's
to
get into it.
boarding schools but we love running stories. We love running stories of success and failure or just funny things. And I known about you for a while because of Erica, but what really caught my attention one day, just scrolling through Instagram stories, is you were going to do an Ironman
Oh God.
in New York,
You're
like
bringing up
on the
drama.
island. And the weather, I just knew it was going to be epic. And I was partly worried. I'm like, she's going to hate this.
horrible.
It's going to be a bad experience. But can you do me the honor and tell me how that Ironman went? Spare no
Oh
details.
my God.
It was epic to watch.
I mean, not to use the word trauma, but like that swim was traumatic. I'm traumatized. So I love Ironman. Like I watched the NBC broadcast of the World Championships. You know, like
We
I
got
love
a
this.
fan right there. He's wearing
Yeah.
his Ironman sweatshirt.
I love the storytelling they do around it.
Mhm.
I think I didn't really start getting into it until I started running, and I think it really is the storytelling that they do. That's what made me a fan, because my dad was a swimmer. Like he was a Pac-10 swimmer. Like he was trying to go to the Olympics. Like he was like a very serious swimmer, and we never got to swim. Like he was that kind of ruined it for him, and it was too hard for him to put us in it. But we did grow up in San Diego, and like I grew up in the ocean, you know, like I love swimming. I love water. So even though I'd never done it formally, I know how to swim really well. And I have the basics of a stroke from my dad. Cycling had never done, but I loved flywheel, like indoor spinning. And I was like, how can it be any different? Like, I'm sure it's the same, and sure it's very different, but like I think cycling is the most meditative for me. Like I loved it. I found it during COVID. I got a bike. A friend of mine gave me, you know, like a bike, and I loved it, like obsessed. So I kind of started thinking like, I think I want to do a half Ironman. I think I want to do a half Ironman. Tossed around the idea of doing a full Ironman when I was doing BQ or Bust in like 2017. Absolutely not. Would never, actually never say never, but probably not.
I'll do it with you.
I don't understand how people have the time. It makes no sense to me.
It's so true.
I don't even have children, and I struggled doing the half.
Let's do it in 15 years when my kids are older.
Sure. Sounds good.
We got time.
That sounds great. It was a lot. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I loved how it didn't beat your body up. One of my friends who's a Badass Lady Gang, one of my athletes, she like sent me a link to when they announced Jones Beach, which was the inaugural Jones Beach Ironman half. And it was like September 2023 last year, right? Is that right?
Yep.
I have it behind me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So she was like, let's do it. And I was like, oh, let's do it. And so I was like, okay, if we can get in and it doesn't sell out, like, let's do it. So obviously did not sell out immediately. And we were in. And so we were off to the races, and training was amazing. I had so much fun. Although getting access to a pool in New York City is incredibly expensive.
Ooh.
So that was annoying.
We got the Hudson River.
Danger.
Everybody's face is just like, ugh.
You and all the bodies.
Cringy.
It honestly is not that
Worst.
dirty anymore, but like I have seen them yank bodies out of the Hudson. So like I personally feel
No shit.
nervous about
my
that. I've seen them pull 3 bodies out on bike rides and runs. So
Whoa.
gross. Yeah, you know that joke about like runners are the ones to find the bodies. Like it's true. I've seen many a dead body in New York City as a runner and a cyclist, unfortunately. Yeah, that was the hardest part. But I loved that it didn't destroy your body the way marathon training does. Like I never felt really, really destroyed. I loved going on rides with friends. As we got closer to race day, I felt so confident. I felt so good. And then in came Tropical Storm Ophelia. And we were watching it, and we knew it was going to rain the morning of the race, or the night before, the day before. They like had you do try out the swim thing in where you're going to swim. And the wind had started, you know, like the storm was coming in, and it was scary. And I didn't even swim. I kind of got a little bit out, turned around and went back in, and was like, oh no, I'm really scared. I'm really nervous.
Oh, no.
And then someone who follows me was working the event, and Leslie, who's my friend who was doing it with me and convinced us to do it, was talking with her, and she's like, do you think the swim's going to get canceled? And I was like, what? Like they do that? And then she was like, well, I don't know after what happened in Ireland. And I was like, what happened in Ireland? And she was like, someone drowned. And I was like, what? What do you
Don't
mean?
tell me this before I have to go do this.
What? And then we went
someone
to
drowned. Good luck. Go swim.
Totally. And then we went to the briefing, and they said at the part of Ironman, this is not like a normal race where they're like, you have to go to an informational meeting. Everybody has to go, and you have to hear the race director talk about what's going to happen the next day, which I think is great, and I think should happen at normal races. And could you imagine all 45, 50,000 New York City marathoners at an informational meeting?
Just hold it at the football stadium.
Yeah. Just everybody get your ass to New Jersey. He was like, listen, the weather's going to be nuts. We're keeping our eyes on the swim. We're letting anyone decide after the first loop of the bike. If today's not your day, you can come in and start the run. And everybody in the crowd went, and I went, what's happening? What is happening? And then I come to learn they don't do that. That's not a thing that they do unless it's like really bad. You know, normally if you don't finish the bike, your day is done. And they told everybody, it's going to be so crazy. You can stop and do the run. And I was like, what the fuck is happening? So I started getting really scared. And the morning of is fucking nuts. The parking was so horrible and awful. Like we almost missed the race. We waited like an hour or something to park.
Oh my God.
So we're just sitting there watching the water in our car as we're waiting to pull in. And it is the choppiest you've ever seen. The wind is so gnarly. It is raining. It is like so windy. And I'm like,
what am I
just getting in my head? And then like I did cry a couple of times. Like I was so scared. And I was like, they shortened the swim, but I was like, I can't believe they're making us do this. Why are they making us swim? The swim was as bad as you would expect. Like it was the scariest thing I've ever seen. They, to their credit, had twice the amount of lifeguards they were initially going to have. So they were like lined up the whole way, but they were still like, you couldn't swim. Anytime you went to breathe, you just got slapped in the face with a wave because they were every which way.
No.
So I ended up just turning on my back and swimming jellyfish because it was the only way I could breathe and do it at a semi-fast rate. So I had people every 5 seconds being like, are you drowning? Are you drowning? Are you drowning? Because I looked like I was drowning. And
Let me float, damn it.
The longest, I think I was in the water for 10 minutes. I was like, it was the longest hour, 10 minutes of my life. Like it felt like I was out there for 1,400 days. It was so scary and horrible and awful. My friend had to save someone from drowning. Like it was horrible. And everyone's faces when you get out. Like you look at the photos, everyone looks traumatized. It was traumatizing, horrible. Like I got out and just like immediately started crying. I was like, I thought I was going to die. Like they were screaming at us, you can stand, you can stand, you can stand. And I'm like, if you have to scream at people, stop swimming, you can stand. Like maybe we shouldn't be out there.
Seriously.
Why did you make us swim? But in hindsight, do you know how pissed I would be if they didn't let us swim?
Yeah,
like
no, I would too.
Duathlon, right?
The day before, I was literally Googling other Ironman events in the next like month to like not do it and just do another one.
Keep your fitness and just get a better day.
We're crazy. We're crazy people. We are unwell.
God. But you tried it.
It was horrible. It was horrible. And they, to their credit, they were like, tomorrow's the type of day that you're going to tell this story for the rest of your life. It's going to be so nuts. And boy, were they right. You know, I do feel better than everyone else. You know,
thank
like
you for
I'm like
recapping.
I did it in a tropical storm. The bike, even crazier. Like the side winds, like you would be out of the saddle pounding as hard as you could and not going anywhere. You know, like it was 40-mile-an-hour winds. It was nuts. The water was like this deep on the highway. Like I was like, we're all gonna hydroplane and die. This is crazy. But it was fun because on the way out was a headwind, but on the way back was a tailwind. And I've never ridden as fast in my life. And I'm a really strong cyclist. So I was like, I pounded the whole time and I had a lot of fun. Like it was really fun. And even though that was like, it was scary at times.
That part was only mildly dangerous compared to the swim. So
yeah.
You're good.
And
you're
know,
good.
if you fall off your bike, you'll be fine. You know, there's no cars going to hit you. Maybe another person, but like, you know, you're not allowed to and because the weather was so crazy, they weren't like reffing really. Like I never saw any
Oh.
refs. So you could
Mhm.
like draft and like stuff like that. Like I wasn't, because I was like, everyone had told me Ironman is so nuts
Mhm.
and like rules and whatever. So I was, but people were like, there were no rules to be had out there. It was, no one could see is really the thing.
Oh,
No one could
shit.
see anything, which also was so scary. But then the run was just like underwater. Like we ran in puddles the whole time. Like it was just nuts. It was so stupid.
You had a friend there like taking content for you, and it just seemed like
Oh,
you
my
were
poor
loving the
friends.
experience.
My poor friends, they were freezing their asses off for it. And that was the thing that just kept me going. I'm like, the faster you go, the faster we all get out of the rain. Like they are standing out there for you. Like they have to be more miserable than you are. Like harder, faster, go. No, they were the best. My best friends are the best.
Do you want to shout them out?
Jeannie, Kelly, Melissa, my heroes, my everything.
Oh, they
Ugh.
sound amazing. Honestly, if I were given the opportunity to either do an Ironman or take content, I would take the content side. I am.
It was great. Like I do want to do another half Ironman. Like I
Mhm.
love sprint triathlons, and I've never done an Olympic distance, but it was like it's so easy on your body. Like I wasn't sore. Like I just
You're getting the cross training, which is nice.
Yeah, it's so much easier on your body than marathon training. Like I've never felt better than when I was half Ironman training.
Mhm.
It was really fun, and boy do I wish I had 3 hours to work out every day, like, but that was really hard.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's a
Yeah,
lot.
we have a friend who was trying to get into Kona, and
Oh my God.
he like I don't know how he did it. Scott was just a machine. Like he wasn't he retired. I think that was it.
No, he got
had-
fired, and he goes, "I'm never
Oh.
going to work again. I'm just
Oh,
going to Ironman
nice.
train."
So he had time, but just the amount of time he actually spent just cycling and running, and oh my gosh,
He would go to
you need
Florida
like
the winter just to
35
cycle.
hours in a day.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's crazy.
Unreal.
Yeah. And then he would like go to Kona a month early to like
He'd
get
acclimate.
Yeah. But the funny thing was, he almost died every time he did an Ironman.
As you should.
Multiple hospital visits, crashing, broken bones.
Shut up.
It's great stories.
That's crazy.
He's like on the total other end of how it should be. Like we loved
Not
him.
risk averse.
He came on and it would tell us just epic stories. Like there were pants shitting stories and
Oh my God, like that
girl.
girl, she just like was like, I just shit my pants.
Yeah.
Don't film me. I was like,
Kudos
ma'am,
to her.
there's like no amount of money that would, I mean, there is, but it's not in these sports,
Mhm.
in any of them for the elites. Like that amount of money does not justify shitting your pants.
There was
I
no
make like
money
as
in it
much
for
money in an
Scott.
Instagram post as they make. Like there are easier ways to do this.
Mhm. Mhm. So funny.
Kelly, thanks so much for sharing that, for entertaining me with the Ironman story. We don't get those as often as running stories, but
Just as
that was
epic. Oh my
that was
gosh.
awesome. It was epic.
Crazy.
I really enjoyed watching that whole journey, and I've been like since then, I want to get Kelly on the pod, and we did it, man. But hey, let's transition here. Something I'm not very familiar with, but sports bras.
Yeah.
And you created another community called the Sports Bra Squad. Try saying that really fast.
I did. Yeah, the Sports Bra Squad started because I had such bad body dysmorphia, and I was so scared to run in my sports bra, and not for the reason that a lot of women are. A lot of women, like violence against women is genuinely a very real thing, and that's why they don't want to run in anything that would draw attention to them, because they're just afraid of dying, because violence against women is such a huge thing, which is so fucking bonkers to me that we
Seriously.
aren't screaming about it. Oh my God, I could go on and on about it, but I just was scared that people were going to say mean things about me, as a runner in a bigger body. Like I just was scared. And running in New York City, it's really hot and humid here in the summer.
Mhm.
And there was just a point where I was too scared to wear shorts. Like I really in leggings and a shirt when it's 90 degrees and 95% humidity is a hell I wouldn't wish on anyone. And I just was desperate enough to take it off, and I posted about it, and everyone started saying me too, me too, me too, which of course how I think I have an original experience is wild, but again, main character. And I was like, oh cool, so we should all deal with this. So that's kind of how the movement was born. And then at the time I was with Wazelle, which is like a women's running group, and they were like, why don't we do Sports Bra Squad Day, where we can kind of bring women together and everyone can do it together. Like, it feels so much less scary than doing it on your own. So we had our first Global Sports Bra Squad Day in 2016, I think. And it just grew and grew and grew, in the beginning, it was a lot more just ditch your shirt and ditch your insecurities, which now it's so much more about understanding why you feel the way that you feel and not pressuring anyone to do anything, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you run in. What matters more is what you see and how you feel.
Mhm.
So helping people more move towards body image resilience, where you don't feel good or bad about your body. You're just noticing when you're having a good body image day or a bad body image day, and then pulling for tools on those days.
Mhm.
That's more important. But that's kind of it. Yeah, it's been almost 10 years. It's so crazy.
I love it. It's still going strong though. Oh, it's amazing.
It's a lot. It's sad. It's really sad how much brain space we take up worrying about, our bodies and harboring fat phobia and just having body image issues. I know this isn't a uniquely female experience, like this is across the board for everyone. We're all victims of diet culture, and it, especially with running, there's so many landmines with running that can trigger, oh, if only I did this, then this, and starting to become a little bit more focused on body, and health becomes so convoluted with body size, which is not the way. You cannot tell how healthy someone is by looking at them. You really can't. So doing what we can to give women the resources to just start to get curious about, why do I feel the way that I feel about my body, and why do I harbor the thoughts and beliefs I have about it, and why do I think if I did this, then this would happen. That's what the Sports Bra Squad is about now.
It's a lot to unpack, like personally, just knowing
Totally.
what everybody is going through. But I love that it's out there to try to help people unpack what's going on. And
Yeah, just get the starting point, like
yeah.
all roads lead to therapy with Badass Lady Gang, and this is, the
We're
first
all about mental health here.
shoots and ladder.
We want the best selves to come out however
Yeah.
it needs to be. And if therapy is part of it, great. Just if running is your therapy, great. Just
No,
however
running
you
is
gotta
not
do-
therapy. It is not. Running can help your therapy, but
There you
running is
go.
not therapy, people. No.
I have been shut down.
I am not a therapist. Like, people are always like, I'm like, no, in my 20s, I liked to moonlight as one, but I now know, no.
I find that running for me can be like just a moment to like
A
get
tool.
all the noise out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you can't fix yourself by running.
Now, when I run with Erica,
That's
is a
a better
therapy
way to say it.
session, because she just
love
listens
it.
to me
Talk
talk
each
the
other
entire
the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah, which is like so important. Having community and people and being in community with people while you do something like that is so transformative and wonderful, but not therapy.
So I worded it incorrectly.
No, I used
No,
to
I
do
get it,
that.
yeah.
So much of my shit was running is therapy, and now I'm like, oh no, I've made
Running
an
away from your
error.
problems.
Totally. Or
Yeah.
weaponizing therapy. I did
Ooh.
that. 20s, man, you know everything when you're in your 20s. Then you turn a corner and you're like, oh no, everything's a lie.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Kelly, I was just going to say you have been such an awesome guest. And before we run out of time, because I know we have a bit of a time crunch, but we have a couple of final questions to ask you. But before I do, I just want to say how awesome I think you are for always prioritizing your stretching.
Oh yeah.
As my like sign off phrase, I always say, don't forget to stretch. And I am the worst culprit on that. I see your videos and you stretch before you do your dynamic drills. You're doing it all.
Oh, yeah.
And you're staying like your body is healthy, just like staying loose and not hurting yourself. And I need to be better about it. So if the listeners will take any advice, just do your stretching. I know it takes a little extra
100%.
time. But
Do
just
not
fucking do it.
run unless you do your dynamic warm up. I mean, I feel like if you get hurt enough, you realize, and I spent years hurt, and like I finally was like, well, maybe there is something to this physical therapy
Right.
thing.
So I just gotta give you tons of kudos on that, because I'm the one who preaches it, but I don't do it myself. And maybe for my 2025 resolution, I need to just take 5 extra minutes and stretch a little bit more. It's just anything is gonna help out.
Look, I would say, as advice to that, write down actionable markers of success. People don't, if you don't understand why you're doing something, you won't do it. So if you start understanding what to look for and why it matters, but two, like what you can look for in terms of how you feel on the run or in your training, you feel a different way about it. Because you know how to make a habit. You know all that stuff. I don't need to tell you how to make a habit. But what you might not be doing is understanding, like, what can I look for and why this is something that can be beneficial to me.
Well said.
Stretching helps. You feel good. Less struggling.
Well, Kelly, you have been amazing, and there's so much more we could talk about. But Erica did mention we always have these 2 final big questions.
Ooh.
And I'll start with mine. It's a new question for 2025. We have something we call the Pod Fam. So you are now a member of the Pod Fam.
In the club, we all fam.
In the club.
So you are now a member of the Pod Fam, and we are having an On the Runs pasta dinner with all our Pod Fam from 2025, and everyone gets to bring a +1. They can be alive or dead, a running legend, a training partner, a best friend, anybody you want who has probably been like somewhat involved in your running journey. Who are you taking to the On the Runs pasta dinner?
Oh my God, I'm taking my trio. I hate rules. I'm taking my 3 girls who are always like behind me and with me, Jeannie, Kelly, and Melissa, because they are so fun and so funny. And like, I can't spend enough time with them. That's who I'm bringing. It's a gift to everyone else because they truly are the funniest people ever.
That's perfect. You find your crew, you stick with them.
I know.
Your BRFs, the best running friends, even if they don't run, even if you're just best friends. Yes, take them with you. So, Eric, if she's breaking rules, I'm going to give her 5 songs.
Ooh!
No, I gave somebody 3 songs to my playlist. So, let's get into my question. We have a Spotify playlist, and I like to invite my guests to add a song to it. But if you're breaking rules, do whatever you want. Would you like to add something? It could be anything that pumps you up during your runs, or just anything you're feeling at the moment that's gonna bring the vibe.
Dancing Through Life from Wicked is like jacking me up right now. I would add that. I would add You Can Do It With a Broken Heart by Taylor Swift, because that song has been on the playlist and has been living, which is surprising to me. Normally, like, Taylor gets on the playlist for like a month and then she comes off the playlist until I'm ready to add her back.
Oh,
and then I would
gotta earn a spot.
And then I would do oh my gosh, I'm trying to think like what are my like I'm trying to think of what's going to be my top song on my Spotify Wrapped.
Ooh.
It's probably going to be Beyonce. It's probably going to be something from no, it's not going to be Texas Hold'em. It's going to be the, what is that song? It goes, Girls, hold on, I'm looking it up. Hold
Sure.
on.
Well, if I know anything, we're gonna put at least the Wicked one on there, because paying attention to your Philly half, which congratulations, by the way. Didn't the Wicked soundtrack like
the whole time
a
gassed me up?
Like, fantastic.
It's it's on Beyonce's new album. I love that song.
We'll check them out.
Well, Kelly, this was super cool. Thank you for like rescheduling for you had no voice after New York, and then Erica had no voice after getting sick.
I can breathe.
This was a ton of fun. We had a blast meeting you. We love your content, what you're putting out there. There's so much more we could have really talked about, like the signs you make or the selfies with the hot guys in the background.
Wasn't there like 800 dogs or something at one of your New York City
I tried to do 1,000. I was close. It was like 961 or something like that.
That's still an insane number of dogs.
A lot of dogs.
Like, pet all the dogs.
Yeah.
But I hope you'll come back one day, or maybe we'll just jump on the Amtrak on the loud car and we'll go to New York and meet you. I'm going to be there for the marathon to cheer on my sister. I might run if I can get in. We'll see.
Oh, amazing.
But it'd be fun. We won't see you, or I won't see you at the run show.
Aw, I was just going to ask.
Because my sister, who lives in New York, is getting married in Cancun.
Rude.
And I tried to get them to move the run show to Cancun. It didn't work out this year. Maybe next. But
we only have a little bit of pull with the run show.
We are
Working on it.
partners with the Run Show, and actually, maybe the last thing we can talk about, the Run Show's coming up. What is your role this year? Last year, you were like the one with the microphone talking to
thing.
everybody. Same thing.
So I'm hosting one of the stages. I don't know which stage. Yeah, so I will step in and host panels or introduce people. Mostly I'm just like hanging out at my stage. So yeah, if you come, which you should, it's in Boston. This year they've merged with their outdoor festival. Am I saying
That's
that
right. Yeah.
And so it's a much bigger group. So if you're in the Boston area, come. They've got some incredible speakers. I think Des Linden's going to be there.
Laz Lake.
Laz Lake, yes.
Who's that?
Oh,
He's
oh
an
man.
ultra running legend. Just look him up. He's crazy.
Oh,
He's a race director. I mean,
gotcha.
Yeah.
Have you heard of the Barkley Marathons?
I vaguely remember Barclays Marathon. Oh, there's so many people who are going to be there that it's such a fun show. I'm excited. So yeah, if you see me, come say hi because I'm mostly just standing around and hanging out on my stage while people talk.
Excellent. And I think that's the weekend of, is it March 2nd and or
March
first and
1st and
second?
2nd.
Should
First and
know that.
second.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Yeah, the day my sister gets married, which she asked me the other day to speak at her wedding. She gave me a couple rules. She goes, nothing inappropriate. So
Are you going to use ChatGPT?
I'll think of something fun.
Just hard words that you can, or words that you can pronounce easily. Just keep it at that.
That's awesome. That's really
But-
sweet.
Kelly, this was great. Thanks for letting me walk up to you at the Run Show and entertaining us and chatting. That was awesome. You were so cool. And yeah, sorry it took so long to get you on, but
No,
we
don't
finally
worry
did
about
it. We finally
This
did
was
it. Welcome to the
so
pod fam.
fun. It was so nice talking to you guys.
It was pleasure is ours. Please just know we are so excited to have had you. You're welcome back anytime you like, especially if you got
you.
anything big coming up. We'd love to hear about it.
It goes both ways. This was really fun. Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys, I hope you enjoyed that. Kelly Roberts on the On the Runs podcast. What an absolute badass.
So cute.